Okay, so today is gonna be just a quick video. I'm not gonna talk too much during it. I'm just gonna walk you through the steps of changing the oil on this mower. We just bought it about beginning of the summer. It's a Craftsman T150. The main reason we bought it was because of this one sticker right there. So we bought it just because of that. So you're supposed to change it after 5 hours of running it, and I figured, to be perfectly honest, I know I should have, but I just wanted to finish out the season. I just finished mowing for the last year, for the last time of the year, so changed the oil in it. I'm just gonna walk you through it. I know the camera's gonna be kind of shaky, but that's kind of how it's gonna be. And today, I don't have an oil drain pan because the one I have has a hole in it. So I found an alternative, a milk jug, which fits just about perfectly under there. So, and it comes with, when you buy this thing, it comes with like a little oil drain filter here. You stick under here somewhere. I guess it's kind of like you stick this under here. Sorry if you didn't see that. Kind of just get it under there and get it in place. See the right about there, just like so. Then you loosen this bolt up, and that lets the oil drain out. And when you do that, you're gonna end up, this takes about 1.5 quarts, and this is just conventional 10W30. This has 5 quarts, so I'm gonna use about 1.5 quarts, depending on how much more I need. And then new Briggs & Stratton oil filter to put on right there where that yellow one is. So without further ado, let's get to this. Put that there. I'm just gonna make this kind of fast. Sun's setting, so fall weather, you know. So I have a variety of like different sizes here, and I wasn't really quite sure which one would fit, and I figured this one would. It's a 1/2 inch. I was just gonna use this one if it did not. So we're just gonna go ahead and use this bad boy, if I can even get it in there completely right. The way this is kind of like an awkward angle. But what fun would it be if it wasn't a challenge, right? There we go. Yeah, sorry about the whole rushing part of this. I'm just trying to get this going kind of fast because, like I said, the sun is setting. So get that. Even if I spill a little bit on the ground, it's not a huge deal. But oh, important note: make sure this engine right here is hot. Make sure you run it for about. I ran it for about a minute and a half, 2 minutes, just to warm it all up, get that oil nice and loose. Because if you try and do it when it's cold, the oil's not going to be as well lubricated. It's going to be sitting at the bottom of the pan, and it's not going to want to come out. So it's a lot better idea to just get it nice and warmed up before you start. That's the same basis for anything really. Cars, trucks, lawnmowers, tractors, golf carts, snowmobiles, anything that requires you to change oil. Yeah, this is just kind of a slow process because of the awkward positioning of the drain plug, but you know, what are you gonna do? Life isn't always gonna be easy. It's to the point I could get it off easily with my fingers if I just had more. There it goes. Now it's about, and as I said before, it's about 1.5 to 2 quarts of oil, so it's not gonna be draining for a long time. Probably about another 30 seconds or so. And that's the little drain plug. Now always be sure, I did drop this in the grass because I was just trying to get the jug under there. So always make sure there's no grass, no contaminants on here. Make sure all the threads look good. Just make sure there's nothing really, even if you just gotta wipe it off, like I might be on my shorts, not a big deal. Just make sure it's good to go. That doesn't have anything on there that can get into the engine. And you can see this, I know it's kind of like, it looks really black on camera. Like Like, you see how it's not really that dark? You can see my finger through it. That's good. That means there's nothing wrong with the engine, and it's not dark. It looks darker on camera, but it's really transparent. It's that nice golden kind of color, which is the color you want, and it might show up better on the dipstick here. See how you can barely even see it on that dipstick? How it's reflective? That's a good thing. That means that the engine's running good. There's no wear and tear. So we're going to let that drain a little bit more. Just let that get every last bit out of there. Then we reinsert the drain plug and take out the oil filter. That seems pretty well off and good. Let's put that right there like so. Let that drain in there. I don't know if you guys can hear the dog crying in the background. He's in the house because he cannot be out here because it's hunting season. We have people who hunt near our land and stuff, and my father lets some people hunt near here when he's not hunting. So it's kind of hard for the dog to be able to run around, because if he ever took off after a deer or something, it wouldn't be pretty if he got one down, first of all. Second of all, it wouldn't be good if somebody saw him running and decided it wasn't a very good idea to have him out there and they shot him. Because we had a family friend who had their dog get shot at, and it turned into like pretty much a war between families, which, you know, I don't feel like getting into a war. I know that has nothing to do with the video, I'm sorry. This thing is deceivingly hard to get in there. Like, the oil is just so slippery. I probably should have just, I probably should have just wiped it off a little bit before I started. I keep dropping it, but we will get in there one way or the other, don't worry. See, it's just the oil. I should have brought some more rags out here. I did not. There we go. It took a minute, but we got it. Just use the good old grass. Just get my hand kind of wiped off and get this baby all tightened up here. Now, the thing is, when you're changing oil on anything and you're doing the oil and the oil filter, which you always want to do the oil filter, you want to make sure that oil plug is nice and tight. That's number uno. Number two, uno is one for anybody who has no idea what I just said, just for fun. So number two, the oil filter. That is the second part of this. And oil filter will have oil, obviously. The only thing is that with the oil filter, they can be hard to get off, but you're not supposed to put them on tight. You're supposed to put them on relatively loose. So, not loose, but hand tight is a better word. You're supposed to put them on hand tight, nothing more, nothing less. Now, I don't think I'll be able to get this off without an oil filter wrench. So, let me go grab that. I'll be right back. And we're back. Alright. So, this is just a standard oil filter wrench. Never ever use one of these to tighten the oil filter. Like I said, you only do a hand tight. You never use one of these, because if you get this on too tight, you might possibly not be able to get it off, and it's just gonna cause you way more work than you need. Yeah, I put that on wrong. Leave it to me. Hang on there. Yeah, this is kind of just, that's the only thing I don't like about these stupid, let me take that emergency brake off. That'll give me a little more room. And just a little bit of elbow grease, and it'll come off. It just takes a little bit of negotiating to get her off, I guess. Once you do that, all you gotta do is just loosen her off. It is gonna leak oil, not as much as the oil filter, or the oil drain plug, I should say, but it's always gonna leak a little bit of oil, which that's to be expected. You can even see how much oil is in there. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pour that in there as well. 1 second. Let me just... Alright, sorry about that. So one thing you always want to double check before you put this on there. before you put the new oil filter onto where the old one used to sit, always make sure that the O-ring came off, which is, the O-ring is this black rubber thing that helps make a seal. You always make sure that came off, because if you put the new one on with the old O-ring, which is again this rubber piece right there, if you put that on top of each other, it will not seal right, and when you start the engine, you will have a big mess and a big problem. So the way that I always do it, and a lot of people tell you this, when you're putting the new oil filter on, just take like a little bit of the oil from the old oil filter, or even new oil if you have it, either one, put it around the new oil filter O-ring, just like that. And the reasoning for that is to get a good seal on there. It just helps seal it, kind of like a suction cup almost. Just wipe my hand on the ground. That works. So, and like I said, you just put this hand tight. So just once you get it started, get it in there until it's nice and tight. And then pretty much what I do is once it's nice and tight, do one turn, three-quarters of a turn to a turn, using just muscle, and you're good to go. Never over tighten. See, it even says it right there. It says oil gasket, hand tighten only. Check for leaks. Now, I promise you I did not just read that off the label and put it on there. I did indeed know that beforehand, but take it or leave it. So now you fill it up with some oil. And with this, some things, it depends. Some things have a separate oil reservoir. Other ones, you just have to put it right where this trusty dipstick goes. So, let me open up this oil and I'll be right back with you. Well, that was something new. When I took this oil cap off, you see right here is this almost rubbery substance that was help protecting it. It was like, I first had the paper filling and then that on top of it. It was actually quite satisfying to poke a hole through that, but you know. Alright, so I'm going to try and do this while holding the camera, which really is not going to work too well. So I'm going to put that there, hope it doesn't fall, and I'm going to put the camera down where you guys can somewhat see what's going on. So one second, I'll be right back with you. Alright, so I just I actually took the air filter cap cover off and stuck you next to the air filter. So when in doubt, just figure it out. So this has 5 quarts in it. This is 5 right there. Right here is 5. So I'm gonna go down to right about in the middle of these 2 lines right here. So that's 3. That's 4. That's 5 right up here. So I'm gonna go down to this line. I'm gonna go down to this line. That's about 2.5 quarts. Okay, check that. Just pour it in. Give that a little bit of time to settle in there before you just keep dumping it in there. You gotta give it a little bit of time, because if you don't, air bubbles can form in there as you're pouring it in and cause you a lot of problems down the road, which you don't want. Now, I do have a funnel I was going to use, but that's not a challenge now, is it? It's about halfway. Let me put this on somewhat level. Actually, a little bit. Just a little bit more. Make sure that's about perfect right there. So let's put this oil cap back on in the place, or cap to the oil, I should say. Put that there. Now, the oil dipstick I put down here. So what you're going to want to do is just wipe this off, preferably with a rag, not just your hands or fingers or whatever. But use whatever is good to you. So it's about good. I know it's really hard to see this on camera, but it's about perfect. I mean, you know, give or take, because once the engine gets running, the thing is, like, you always want to put a little bit extra to fill the oil filter. Yeah, I put just like a tad bit extra, but you know, that's just something that you should do. So let me just wipe my hands again, and we will give her a start up. Now make sure before you start anything, before you do it, I know this is kind of not, there you go. Make sure, check that. Make sure that's tight. I already double checked the bolt. Now, double check this oil filter. Make sure she's nice and tight. I was going to say sturdy, I don't know why. But, and for me, because I put the camera there, put this air filter cap back on before you start it. Move this out of the way. Put the hood down. Make sure you have all your tools and stuff kind of out of the way, especially with a lawnmower. God forbid you ever hit if it has a button or whatever for the blades, and one of your tools fell down there and got sucked in the blades, that can be catastrophic to your mower and to the tool. And if anybody's standing there and a tool shoots out, it could seriously hurt somebody. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the brake on, start her on low. Now the engine's already warm, so it started up right away. Give it a minute to run on low RPMs, or if it's a car, just let it idle before you start giving it gas and revving it up, so let the oil circulate through the engine really good. So just get in our 10 seconds on low RPMs, and just crank her up a little bit, slowly. Now you're going to check for any leaks on the mower. So I forgot, you cannot turn these blades on while nobody is sitting on the seat. That's a safety mechanism. I was just going to turn them on and let them run for a minute, but... well, there you have it. That's how you change oil on a mower, and that's pretty much universal for just about anything. But there you have it. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please like and share this video, and just as a side note, that mower right there smokes like you cannot believe, because it was my father's lawnmower, and he never took care of it. So the deck is rotted completely out. That's number one. This thing, original oil filter. If that tells you anything, it tells you this thing was very neglected. I'm honestly surprised that it even still runs, but she's still kicking. Just barely, but she's still kicking. This tarp is just completely shot as well. I'm trying to get the tarp off because I wanted to start this just as a side note to show you what happens if you don't change your oil. So you guys can kind of get a visual representation of what happens to a, yeah, even look at that. That's how neglected this poor mower is. It used to be a great mower back in the day, but, you know, as my dad would say, life got in the way. So let's just start her up and show you how badly it smokes. If it'll warm up, it hasn't been started in a while. Give her a second, there it goes. Now if you listen, you can hear it misfiring. That's from lack of oil being put in. You see the smoke? See that? All that smoke. just in time for Halloween. Now that, my viewers, is what happens when you do not do your oil. Now, you know, I mean, some of you might be just saying, well, it's a mower, and granted, it is a very old mower. We've had for over 10 years, which is, to my surprise, that even still runs with lack of care. Now, this one here, I'm going to take good care of, and I hope this lasts me 10 years. But, you know, the way things are built nowadays, I'm doubtful about that. But, you know, that's not a knock to Craftsman. It's just how everything's built. Cars, trucks, SUVs, anything. So that just goes to show you what happens when you do not change your darn oil. You'll get knocking in the engine, which you could hear that little bit of a knocking noise. That was from, because I kid you not, I went to this mower the beginning of the season. Did routine oil check. Pulled this dipstick, just like so. Now you see how dark that dipstick is? You see how bad that looks? Terrible. Now, I'm going to get to why you should not even bother changing this oil, but the oil itself, I'll show you, was down to, it had about like that much, like the tip of the little arrow part, that was how much oil was actually in the lawnmower. Not enough to run. Now, the thing is with old engines, preferably car engines from like 70s, people tend to tell you, especially old timers, people who've been working on their whole lives, as parts wear out in the engine, you tend to have to put thicker grade oil into the engine because the parts are separated more. Back when they first made it, the parts are so close together, you had to use thin oil. But as the parts wear out, they get bigger gaps, so people will put thicker oil in. Now, to some degree, that's a good thing. To some degree, it's not. That's a give or take relationship because you might end up wearing out even more, or you could just put new parts in just for something else to go wrong. Now, for a mower like this, that oil that's in there, never been changed. I did think about changing it, but at this point, the deck, like I said, I'll show you. Look at this. Rotted completely out all the way around. It's just, that's all gone. Nothing even there. Rotted out deck. The tires have been gone on it for a long time now. We have to put air in them constantly. Transmission says it's in 6th gear. It's in 5th. If you even touch it, it'll go out of gear and we won't be able to get it back in. Lights don't work. Parking brake barely works on it. See? There. Parking brake barely works. This gets stuck all the time. So if you even wiggle it, it'll get stuck and run wrong. So at that point, you just figure, why waste money on oil and an oil filter? But, I mean, then you obviously seen that's not supposed to be there like that. It's supposed to be like that. So this thing is just, it's just not even worth it. We're actually gonna, this is, lawnmower's going to the junkyard in the sky pretty soon. I mean, the cost of repairs for this thing and to reseal the, put new seals in the engine, it's just way past its prime. But hopefully it's newer, younger, stronger sibling here will do us justice. But I know I'm getting off of what the main subject was. That's how you do an oil change, and that's what happens if you don't do an oil change. With an oil change, you get long-lasting, typically good running, happy life of an engine. Without it, you get smoke, knocking, and no engine, pretty much, if you don't ever put oil in it. So that just goes to show you, good, bad. Bad, good. Oil change, no oil change. So hopefully that helps you guys. And as you can see, it's like, it doesn't look as dark as it actually is on the camera. It's actually a lot darker than it is on camera. So we're going to get going and hope you guys enjoy this video. Thanks for watching.